the creation and fall of man. Time never was when man was not. If life of man at any time began, a time will come when it was not. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumcised. No finite mind can comprehend things infinite. All finite things are subject unto change. All finite things will cease to be because there were a time when they were not. The body and the soul of man are finite things, and they will change. Yea, from the finite point of view, time will come. Finite point of view, the time will come when they will not. Wait a minute, let me get back. I'm reading chapter 1. All finite things will cease to be because there were a time when they were not. The bodies and the souls of men are finite things, and they will change. Huh? Can you hear me?
I hear you.
All right. From the finite point of view, the time will come when they will be no more. But man himself is not the body, nor the soul. He is a spirit and a part of Allah. Creative faith gave to man, to spirit man, a soul that he might function on the plane of soul. Gave him a body, flesh that he might function on the plane of things made manifest. Why? They created.
Wow. This tonight is going to be a very great demonstration. We are going to be, where did it go? We're coming out of the book that I was reading last night. We're going to come out of that book, but also out of the Circle 7, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And we are going to show you where this attack is on your anatomy. That's why it's called the anatomy of the attack. There's an attack on your anatomy. Now we got to go find this phone. So I'll be right back. Listen to a little music while I'll be right back. Just a little chill music. Let's put you here. And trust you all are having an amazing holy day. Happy holy day to all. The anatomy of the attack. That's what this demonstration is about this evening. The anatomy of the attack. Join us, share the live if you can. Put some hearts in the chat before you leave. But just know that there's an attack on your anatomy. Definitely it is. I don't know, can you feel the attack on your anatomy? What does it feel like? Do you even know that there is an attack on your anatomy? A major attack. in ways that you were unaware that your anatomy is being attacked. And that's what we're going to get into tonight. Hopefully we can get some amazing people in here that can speak on it, that can probably give some insight to this attack on your anatomy. It's a true attack. I don't know why that doesn't. I invited her, okay. We didn't ask you to be there. So we'll see who joins in with us tonight. I'm just gonna bring people in because it's important for what's going on in the world, the topics of today, what everyone's talking about, right? How are you feeling? The energy's something else right now. I don't know if you can feel it, but I sure can. So, peace and love, Islam, Islam, Islam. Islam just simply means peace. That's all it means. I have my sister ask me that because I say peace before I hang up with anyone I'm on the phone with. I say peace, and she called back and said, well, does that mean that you Muslim? You know, can I say peace? Like as if, can she say peace? Yes, of course. Peace is just another way of saying see you later, talk to you later. Peace and love. You know, you're sending out a positive energy. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that that's what you're proclaiming to be, but in that essence, you should be. You should be Islam in your life. That should just be your nature, to be at peace, because that's what it means. So our meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You can stand or you can sit in silent benediction as we recite our Moorish American prayer. We turn to the east, which means going within. We put up 5 fingers on the left, 2 on the right, with our heels touching one another. Some may stand in a different stance, but to give honors to what we're giving honors to, this is the way we stand in prayer. Repeat after me. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Ameen. Islam. So we're going to first do some house cleaning before we do anything else, because it's always important we clean house. It's always important that we set the room for the way it should be, the way the energy should be, because people are coming with all their energy on them when they walk into these meetings, whether they're coming in through the screen, whether they're walking in the flesh. That it's important that you set the tone for what's expected when you sit in amongst these meetings on such a high degree level, a high frequency, because you got to come in with your cup empty. Don't come in with your emotions, but come in with an empty cup. So then you can see what you can put in that cup. And there may be some things that you keep in your cup, but at least unfold it. So when you come in, it's just a certain way that we should be. It's a certain way we should, conduct ourselves, especially in these meetings. Islam. So salvation, Allah, unity. The Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution, and bylaws. So we have a constitution. Just like any nation should have a constitution. Any state should have a constitution. Your family should have a constitution. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So the members got to know that you live in this life. Not that you just speak it, but that you truly live this life. Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7. And love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday, which is today, is our holy day of rest. Why is that? Because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh. And on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4, all members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5, this organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negro, color folk, black people, or Ethiopian, because these names were given to the enslaved, or we'll call them prisoners of war, by the slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Noble Drew Ali, the founder. The Moorish Science Temple of America, home office of Noble Drew Ali, Chicago, Illinois, USA. Now for the recitation for the additional laws. Islam, you guys, Islam. Additional laws for Moorish Americans. By the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Act 1, the Grand Sheikh is the governing head of our temple. All business of said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali before being acted upon by any member. Let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the member to sacrifice finance, that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer who violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under a heavy restriction, etc., by the Prophet or the Grand Body. By the Prophet or the Grand Sheikh, excuse me. Act 2, all members are to attend their ADAT meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second case, you will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If member is working his monthly dues must be paid. And if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3, it is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation. And if he does not, he is an enemy to the uplifting of his own people. And justice must catch you. Let it be he or she, according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hand, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4, all members, while up making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5, all members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself or herself to the questionnaire. And let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and partial of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves, are prisoners of war by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali the prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7, all members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey fathers and mothers and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God, Allah. Islam. Thank you for the hearts, Beverly Maganti Bay. Thank you for the hearts, everyone over here on the other TikTok and everyone on YouTube. Peace and love. I trust all is well with all of you this evening. I do. I trust it is. I'm going to be reading from 2 different books. One book is by Napoleon Hill. I just want to give you references to where I'm coming from. And this book by Napoleon Hill is called Outwitting the Devil. I'm going to also be showing you these instructions that are in our Holy Quran Circle 7 that ties not only into this book, but it all actually reflects what's going on today. How you don't even realize you've been compromised for so long that you're just used to being in this energy that is unrecognizable with what's going on, because you really haven't outwitted the devil. So the anatomy of the attack, the nervous system in the current world climate, we are bombarded by drifting energies, news, social media, and collective anxiety. This is a direct assault on the nervous system, The Circle 7 perspective. Our body is the temple of the living God. That's why Allah and man are one, because this is a temple of Allah. When the nervous system is frazzled, which is the lower self, the animal nature takes control because the higher self cannot communicate through a chaotic medium. Your higher self can't communicate with a whole bunch of chaos going on. That's why they say God don't do confusion. Does that make sense? Because all that chaotic energy, chaotic medium, that chaotic spirit that you got going on inside of you, the higher self can't communicate. It's too much. I'm telling Islam means peace with everything. That's why it's a faith, not a religion. This is a faith. And it should be part of your nature that this is the faith. We must live a life of peace, because when we don't, we cannot communicate with our higher self. We can't communicate with our God essence, because we're constantly falling into these energies. So I'm going to be reading out of this book and the Circle 7, but I want you to hear Napoleon Hill's perspective. The devil thrives on fear and indecision. When your nervous system is in fight or flight, you cannot think definitely. You begin to drift. And once you drift, you fall into the hypnotic rhythm, making your negative state permanent. You fall into this. Okay, so these books are pretty much saying the same thing, but I'm going to be reading from them so you can kind of catch what's going on, because right now, Napoleon Hill is having an interview with the devil. And his question was, do you really think I interviewed the devil, or do you think the devil is real? Like all of this he's asking, right? But he's actually interviewing the devil. Thank you for the hearts and the love. Thank you so much for everyone putting the hearts in the chat. So Napoleon Hill, I was reading from last night, so now we'll continue. The question from him, or Earthbound, we would say. This is the person we're going to call Earthbound. I was under the impression that the purpose of all schooling was to help children think. The answer, that may be the purpose of schooling, but the system in most of the schools of the world does not carry out the purpose. School children are taught not to develop and use their own minds, but to adopt and use the thoughts of others. This sort of schooling destroys the capacity of independent thought, except in a few rare cases where children will rely so definitely upon their own willpower, and they refuse to allow others to do their thinking. Accurate thought is the business of my opposition, not mine. Question, what relationship, if any, has your opposition with the homes, the churches, and the schools? Your reply to this question should be interesting. Answer, here is where I make use of some of my clever tricks. I cause it to appear that everything done by the parents, the school teachers, and the religious instructors is being done by my opposition. This diverts attention from me while I manipulate the minds of the young. When religious instructors try to teach children the virtues of my opposition, they generally do so by frightening them with my name. That is all I ask of them. I kindle the flame of fear into proportions which destroy the child's power to think accurately. In the public schools, the teachers further my cause by keeping the children so busy cramming non-essential information into their minds. They have no opportunity to think accurately or to analyze correctly the things their instructors teach them. I'm going to see if anybody has any. I'm grateful you're live. I miss my fellowships. Islam, let's fellowship. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here, sis. Islam. And if you would like to come up, I can invite you up if you want to, anything you want to demonstrate on or say. The floor is open. It's open. No judgment here, no none of that. Like, for real, because that's what's wrong. People want to judge, and sometimes people have things to say. There's things they want to get off their chest. There's way they may want to demonstrate these lessons. So you're more than welcome at any time to do so. Islam, at any time to do so. Islam, thank you for that. Thank you for these hearts. I really appreciate them. Question: do you claim for your cause all those who are bound by the habit of drifting? The answer: no. Drifting is only one of my tricks through which I take over the power of independent thought. Before a drifter becomes my permanent property, I must lead him on and ensnare him with another trick. I will tell you about this other trick after I finish describing my methods of converting people into drifters. Question: do you mean you have a method by which you can cause people to drift so far away from self-determination that they can never save themselves? Morris Science is about saving yourself. You got to save yourself. He said, I brought you everything to save a nation. Now save yourself. Because he's telling you, your independent thought is what's going to have to save you. You're going to have to come up out of that. This indoctrinated thought process that has been placed on the people. You got to come up out of it. Because we are guilty even for our children being in the way that they are with not knowing they've been taking it over through us, through the schools, and through the religious instructors. Any way to have control of the mind. He says, yes, a definite method, and it's so effective it never fails. Question: do I understand you to claim your method is so powerful, your opposition cannot reclaim those whom you have permanently ensnared through drifting? The answer: I claim just that. Boy, the devil got confidence, don't he? Do you think I would control so many people if my opposition could prevent me? Nothing can stop me from controlling people except people themselves. Nothing can stop me except the power of accurate thought. People who think accurately do not drift on any subject. They recognize the power of their own minds. Moreover, they take over that power and yield it to no person or influence. Self-determination and knowing thyself is the ultimate salvation. Islam, definitely. Islam, sis, definitely. Ultimate salvation. So the question: go ahead and tell me more of the methods by which you cause people to drift to hell with you. Answer: I cause people to drift on every subject through which I can control independent thought and action. Take the subject of health, for example. I cause most people to eat too much food and the wrong sort of food. This leads to indigestion and destroys the power of accurate thought. If the public schools and the churches taught children more about proper eating, they would do my cause irreparable damage. Marriage. I cause men and women to drift into marriage without plan or purpose, designed to convert the relationship into harmony. Here's one of my most effective methods of converting people into the habit of drifting. I cause married people to bicker and nag one another over money matters. I cause them to quarrel over the bringing up of their children. I engage them in unpleasant controversies over their intimate relationships. And in disagreements over friends and social activities, I keep them so busy finding faults with one another that they never have time to do anything else long enough to break the habit of drifting. Occupation. I teach people to become drifters by causing them to drift out of school into the first job they can find with no definite aim or purpose except to make a living. Through this trick, I keep millions of people in fear of poverty all their lives. Through this fear, I lead them slowly but surely onward until they reach the point beyond which no individual ever has broken the drifting habit. I'm going to read. There's 3 more for me to read before I go back to this so we can go into the circle 7. Savings. I cause people to spend freely and to save sparingly or not at all until I take complete control of them through their fear of poverty. Environment. I cause people to drift into inharmonious and unpleasant environments in the home, in their places of occupation, in their relationship with relatives and acquaintances, and to remain there until I claim them through the habit of drifting. Dominating thoughts. I cause people to drift into the habit of thinking negative thoughts. This leads to negative acts and involves people in controversy and fills their minds with fears, thus paving the way for me to enter and control their minds. When I move in, I do so by appealing to people through negative thoughts, which they believe to be their own. I plant the seeds of negative thought in the minds of the people through the pulpit, the newspapers, the moving pictures, the radio, and all other popular methods of appeal to the mind. I cause people to allow me to do their thinking for them because they are too lazy and too indifferent to think for themselves. Do we not see that going on today? That our people don't think for themselves. They're waiting for someone to come on TV and give them an instruction. So can we not see how the devil plays tricks? And is anyone outwitting him? Because we be doing the job for him by not even raising our thoughts to infinite wisdom. So I'm going to connect these principles. The concept of the Circle 7 Quran. The enemy is the lower self. The solution is holy unity, to know thyself. The power is Allah, the great God. In outwitting the devil, selfishness is the devil, the drifter. Solution, definiteness of purpose. The great God is the other self. Infinite intelligence. The trap is living in sin. Ignorance. Sin is ignorance. Sin ain't based on, sin is ignorance. You're being ignorant. So there's a hypnotic rhythm, which is habitual fear. That's what they push. They push habitual fear into the people. Whether it's coming from the parent, the school, to the religious instructor. Think about it. You put fear in your children or you. Then the teachers got them scared. They scared to speak for themselves, to think for themselves, because if they say something wrong, you have some children go to school and they go, well, that ain't the story of Martin Luther King, or they challenge the teacher in their teachings and the teacher gets upset about it. You know what I'm saying? Now the child's being this and they're being disruptive and they're being disrespectful. No, they're not. They're speaking their truth. As I say, I told my children, question it all. Don't never let these folks tell you anything. Question everything they say to you. Question it. That's the way we should be. This is the way we should teach our children to be. So I'm gonna go down a little bit more why spiritual alignment is the only shield. This is why spiritual alignment is the only shield. The world is currently trying to outwit us by keeping us in a state of reaction. If you are reacting, you are not creating. Most people are just reacting right now. That's all you see them doing. Just reacting toward what people say, reacting toward what's going on in the world, just reacting. So you're not creating. I'm in the lab as I'm on live. That's why I was late. Because you still should be creating in some kind of way. So I'm going to read from chapter 1 of the Circle 7, which is the creation and fall of man. That's why I was playing my teacher teaching on this exact chapter at the beginning of this live. You can hear him, but he's very soft-spoken. Always spewing doubt of self-knowing. Matriarch, low vibrational energy. Islam, definitely. What we saying over here? Thank you, the frequency of ill. Thank you. That's my favorite chapter. Islam, that chapter 1 is chapter I, because you got to say, this is me. So in chapter I, that's how I like to put it, chapter I, the divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, chapter I, the creation and fall of Lete. That's why I'm going to put my name there. The creation and fall of me. Because we have to start taking accountability that we fail. We fell. Islam. So time never was when man was not. If life of man at any time began, a time would come when it would end. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. No finite mind can comprehend things infinite. So no drifting mind can comprehend those things that are of higher essence or higher of a higher ground and higher thinking. Islam. The finite things will cease to be. Oh, excuse me. Let me go back. No finite mind can comprehend things infinite. All finite things are subject unto change. All finite things will cease to be because there was a time when they were not. The bodies and the souls of men are finite things. And they will change. Yeah, from the finite point of view, the time will come when they will be no more. But man himself is not the body, nor the soul. He is a spirit and a part of Allah. Right? He's a spirit. You're a spirit and a part of Allah. Thank you, Major, for your Islam. Gratitude to you too for being here. So I'm going to go over here also in the circle 7, where it has given us lordship over all things, but we lost it through our carnal minds. So spirit man, as a seed of Allah, held deep within himself the attributes of every part of Allah. Now, seeds are perfect. Yeah, as perfect as the source from which they come, but they are not unfolded into life made manifest. The child is as perfect as the mother is. So man, the seed, must be deeply planted in a soil that he might grow and unfold, as does the bud unfold to show the flower. The human seed that came forth from the heart of Allah was full ordained to be the Lord of the plane of soul and of the plane of things made manifest. So you were given dominion. You were given lordship over all things. We were given lordship over all things. Right? So when we were giving lordship over all these things, then that means we have a definite purpose of being here, guys. We have a definite purpose. So Allah, the husbandman of everything that is, threw forth this human seed into the soil soul. It grew apace, and man became a living soul, and he became the Lord of all the kingdom of the soul. Hark now, let every creature hear. The plane of soul is but the ether of the spirit plane, vibrating not so fast. And in the slower rhythm of this plane, the essence of life are manifest, the perfumes and the odors, the true sensations, and the all of love manifest. So you know how we can, true story, Islam. We can and you know that. You know with those true, or you go outside, you know when the odor ain't right, or you know when it just makes you feel like certain herbs from lavender, it can raise your vibration. It can take that finite mind and raise it into an infinite mindset because it helps it calms the nervous system. Lavender, basil, so many herbs that you can grow and just go outside, and when you smell them, when you bring in them beautiful sensations, how they calm you. But how other odors can make you, it'll shift your energy. Even with the stuff they're spraying in the sky right now, it shifts you. You don't know what they're spraying. What is that smell? Why can't I see? My eyes are all blurry. The clouds don't seem real. They seem like something's going on. Right? So we should know how to do that, because that's these things moving at a slower rhythm. If we were moving at a higher vibration and we was vibrating faster, we'd be able to communicate with the animals and everything. You know, it would just be beautiful. So we know that's a low vibration when the odor get bad. The higher vibration is that other self to be like, ooh, goodness. Even like a good old pot of greens when your grandma cooking. It's just nothing like the smell of her house. It's nothing like the smell of your mother. Them good sensation smells. You might have had some bad times. You might have had some bad smells with your parents. But still, we know how to do this, right? So, and these soul attributes became a body beautiful. You are a body beautiful. A multitude of lessons man must learn upon the plane of soul. And here he tarries many ages until his lessons are all learned. That's most of us. You're in your 50s. When you was in your 20s, you was probably reckless. You got in your 30s, you started calming down. You became 40 and you go, what was I thinking when I was 26? Well, what was wrong with me? You start shifting in your thought process. You start looking back at the things you did and say, man, I can't go back and change it, but I can raise my thoughts. I can work on myself to be a better person because I don't have to stay in that. Some people see that as that has been their life and they don't know how to say, okay, I did that. That was my mistake. How can I fix it? It's like rosemary. Thank you. Rosemary is another herb you can smell to help with to raise your frequency. So many different herbs that you can just get a hold to. Go outside. Some of them are outside and you don't even know because they're so mixed in with everything else. But sometimes just going up to one and rubbing it to see what that is. Now, everything you don't want to smell. That's what my herbalist told me. Not everything. So when we're looking at the creation and fall of man, that gives us this reference to chapter 4 of Napoleon Hill's book, where the devil admits he cannot control a non-drifter who has a definite plan. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought us our definite plan. He brought us what we needed. He brought us everything to save a nation. But he said, but go and save yourself. Because once we know thyself, we know Allah. So then that helps. We can assist others that don't know that about themselves. They have no idea that Allah and man are one. That man is not the body nor the soul, but a spirit and a part of Allah. Because Allah never made heaven. He never made hell. He never made earth. Earth is around you. They say heaven's above and they say hell is below. But he never made none of that. You're a creator and create your own heaven, hell, and earth. You create your own. You're a creator and you create your own. That's why it's the creation and fall of man. Because through what you've created through here, through your thoughts, your words and deeds, have manifested into the fall of who we are. We fell into this. So the nervous system alignment. To protect your sensitive nervous system, you must move from the sympathetic, which is the stress state, to the parasympathetic, which is the peace state. Head, arm, leg. Yes, that is a lie. The image, when he says you were made in his image, you have a leg, arm, what is it? Arm, leg, arm, and head. You're that image, the image of Allah in this form. Islam, sis. So we got to get to that parasympathetic, which is the peace state. But we have to be at peace with ourselves. We got to be at peace with ourselves. We're going to come out of this because we're going to go to chapter 11 in just a minute. Because chapter 11 reflects this also. Question. I conclude from what you say that drifting and procrastination are the same. Is that true? The answer, yes, that is correct. Any habit which causes one to procrastinate, to put off reaching a definite decision, leads to the habit of drifting. So says the devil, I cause people to allow me to do their thinking for them because they are too lazy and too indifferent to think for themselves. Laziness plus indifference equals procrastination, which equals drifting. This describes a true drifter as defined by Hill. Since I have been a true procrastinator for most of my life, this is earthbound speaking. This hits a little too close to home for me. I've been a procrastinator majority of my life. Even though I've done the things I love to do, there's been a lot of procrastination in my life. So I can definitely agree. Let me hold myself accountable for that. You know what I'm saying? So it does hit home. I like to use the excuse that I work best under pressure. Who says that? A lot of us say that I work better under pressure. But that is all it is, an excuse for why I procrastinate. Can you think of examples in your own life when laziness and indifference led you off your path to success? Can y'all think about that? Can y'all put it in the chat? Can you think of any time in your life when laziness and indifference led you off your path to success? When an opportunity slipped through your fingers because you were too slow to seize it in time. That procrastination thing, majority of us deal with that. We deal with it on a daily basis. Because since my mom has transitioned, boy, do I distraction, yes. And these distractions are messing us up right now. The distractions of the world. So, like you said, these distractions to me are turning into procrastination. You want to be distracted by what's going on in these so-called important people's lives. You want to be distracted by the news and what you think might be going on in somebody else's country. Yes, surely leaning to one's own understanding. Yes, for sure. So I can sure enough see a time where there was an opportunity and I missed it because I wasn't moving fast enough. Question: is man the only creature who drifts? Answer: yes. All other creatures move in response to definite laws of nature. The law of nature. So they saying, nah, all the other creatures move the way they supposed to. And we have lordship over these. But they move in the way they're supposed to with nature. Yes, Islam. Man alone defies nature's laws and drifts when he wills. Everything outside the minds of men is controlled by my opposition, by laws so definite that drifting is impossible. I control the minds of men solely because of their habit of drifting, which is only another way of saying that I control the minds of men only because they neglect or refuse to control and use their own minds. Question: this is getting to be pretty deep stuff for a mere human being. Let us get back to the discussion of something less abstract. Please tell me how this drifting habit affects people in the everyday walks of life, and tell me in the terms the average person can understand. So this is in a term us average people can understand. The answer from the devil: I would prefer to keep this interview up among the stars. Question: no doubt you would. That would save you from being exposed. But let us come back to earth. Tell me now what drifting is doing to us as a nation here in the United States. Answer: frankly, I may as well tell you that I hate the U.S. He said this is the devil, as only the devil can hate. Question: that is interesting. What is the cause of this hatred? Answer: the cause was born on July 4th, 1776. Why is this in this book? when 56 men signed a document which destroyed my chances of controlling the nation. You know that document as the Declaration of Independence? Had it not been for the influence of that damnable document, I would now have a dictator running the country, and I would stop this right to free speech and independent thought that is threatening my rule on earth. Did you catch that? This book was, I'm telling y'all, all right. Question: am I to understand from what you say that nations controlled by self-appointed dictators belong in your camp? Answer: there are no self-appointed dictators. I appoint them all. Moreover, I manipulate them and direct them in their work. Nations run by my dictators know that they want and take it by force. Look what I have done with the Mussolini in Italy. Look what I am doing with Hitler in Germany. Look what I am doing with Stalin in Russia. My dictators run these nations for me because the people have been subdued through the habit of drifting. My dictators do no drifting. That is why they rule for me the millions of people under their control. What would happen if the Mussolini, Stalin, and Hitler turned traitors and disavowed you and your rule? Answer: that will not happen because I have them too well bribed. I am paying each of them with the sop of his own vanity by making him believe he is acting on his own account. That is another trick of mine. Yes, I believe it because you see it every day. Islam, you see it every day. That definitely. Let us come back to the United States and learn something of what you are doing to convert people into the habit of drifting. Answer: right now I am paving the way for a dictatorship by sowing the seeds of fear and uncertainty in the minds of the people. Question: through whom are you carrying on your work? Answer: mainly through the president. I am destroying his influence with the people by causing him to drift on the question of a working agreement between employers and their employees. If I can induce him to drift for another year, he will be so thoroughly discredited, I can hand over the country to a dictator. If the president continues to drift, I will paralyze personal freedom in the United States, just as I destroyed it in Spain, Italy, Germany, and England. This is energy. 1938, when he wrote this book. When he wrote this. In 1938, when Hill was writing this manuscript, the president was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Are the devil's comments applicable today? Do you think Hill might write the same words today as he wrote 70 years ago? Do you think he would write them same words today? What do y'all think? Do you think he would write those same words today that he wrote 70 years ago? What you say leads me to the conclusion that drifting is a weakness which inevitably ends in failure, whether among individuals or nations. Is that your claim? The devil. Drifting is the most common cause of failure in every walk of life. I can control anyone who I can induce to form the habit of drifting on any subject. The reason for this is twofold. First, the drifter is just so much putty in my hands to be molded into whatever pattern I choose, because drifting destroys the power of individual initiative. Second, the drifter cannot get help from my opposition because the opposition is not attracted to anything so soft and useless. Ew! Allah said, I don't need no softness. That's why Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, he needs strong men and women that think their condition can be better. I know our condition can be better. We can't be weak. We can't be useless because we become drifters. We have to be active and not passive Moors. We got to be active Moors. Lower self, yes. We got to be active. Is that why a few people are wealthy while the majority of people are poor? That is exactly the reason. Poverty, like physical illness, is a contagious disease. You find it always among the drifters, never among those who know what they want and are determined to get just that. It may mean something to you when I call your attention to the fact that the non-drifters, whom I do not control, and those who possess most of the wealth of the world happen to be the same people. Question. I have always understood that money was the root of all evil, that the poor and the meek would inherit heaven, while the wealthy would pass into your hands. What have you to say of that claim? Answer. Men who know how to get the material things of life generally know how to keep out of the hands of the devil as well. The ability to acquire things is contagious. Drifters acquire nothing except that which no one else wants. If more people had definite aims and stronger desires for material and spiritual wishes, I would have fewer victims. The actual verse of the Bible talks about the love of money, not money itself. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. 1 Timothy 6:10. Of all kinds of evil, right? Question. I assume from that what you say that you do not claim fellowship with the industrial leaders. Evidently, they are not friends of yours. Answer. Friends of mine? I'll tell you what sort of friends of mine they are. They have belted the entire country with good roads, thus bringing into close communion the people of both city and country. They have converted ores into steel, with which they have built the skeletons of great skyscrapers. They have harnessed electrical power and converted it into 1,000 uses, as designed to give man time to think. They have provided through the automobile personal transportation to the humblest citizen, thus giving to everyone the freedom of travel. They have provided every home with instantaneous news of what is happening in all parts of the world through the aid of the radio. Now we have the computer, we have the internet, but then it was the radio. And then it says, and now, because this is someone's manuscripting this, and now television, smartphone, satellite, and internet. All of that, right? So, we have to return the state of holy unity. And that's what the Circle 7 tells us. And in his terms, this is self-mastery and harmony. By aligning with source, you create an electromagnetic shield. You no longer absorb the drifting thoughts of the world. Instead, you broadcast the frequency of your own purpose. You broadcast the frequency of your own purpose. So, in comparison, both books to their respective 7 principles. Hill has 7 principles for freedom. The Circle 7 has the 7 key principles of the Moorish science. Right? So, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice are the only way to break the hypnotic rhythm. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Those 5 principles. That's why I said this can change overnight if we can understand that we can break this hypnotic rhythm. The temperature of the world, right? That chaos we see is simply the devil. Negative collective ego trying to tighten its grip because a mass awakening is happening. Islam. So now I want to go into chapter 11 because I'm going to finish this out. But we're going to come into chapter 11 because I'm going to touch on it. But I want to read chapter 11 to you. The divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, chapter 11. Jesus and Bharata together, they read the sacred books. So among the Buddhist priests was one who saw a lofty wisdom in the words that Jesus spoke. It was Bharata Arebo. Together, Jesus and Bharata read the Jewish Psalms and prophets, read the Vedas, the Avesta, and the wisdom of Gautama. And as they read and talked about the possibilities of man, never impossibilities, the prophet brought us the possibilities of man. That's why he brought us 10 wonders of the world and not 7. He brought us 10 wonders of the world and not 7. And not 7. He brought us 10 beautiful wonders. So the possibilities of man, Bharata said he has been a living thing on every plane of life. Man is the marvel of the universe. He is a part of every living thing, for he has been a living thing on every plane of life. Islam. The mind cannot conceive what the mindset can achieve. Islam. Y'all better know. Come on now. Teach me. Islam. I love when people come on here to teach and give it in from their perspective, because you can see it. The prophet all over it. Islam. So time was when man was not. And then he was a bit of formless substance in the modes of time. And then a protoplasm. By universal law, all things tend upward to a state of perfectness. The protoplasm evolved, becoming worm, then reptile, bird, and beast. And then at last it reached the form of man. Now man himself is mind. And mind is here to gain perfection. By experience. Mind is here to gain perfection by experience. And mind is often manifest in fleshly form. And in the form best suited to its growth. So mind may manifest as a worm, a bird, or beast, or man. The time will come when everything of life will be evolved into the state of perfect man. And after man is man in perfectness, he will evolve to higher forms of life. And Jesus said, this Jesus said, Bharata Arebo, who told you this? Who told you this, Bharata? That mind which is man may manifest in flesh or beast or bird or creeping thing? Bharata said, from time which man remembers, not our priests have told us so. And so we know. Now see, we going right back into the outwitting of the devil when he told you. It started with the parents, goes to the schools, and then to the religious instructors. He said, have we not, but from time which man remembers, not our priests have told us so, and so we know. And Jesus said, enlighten Arebo, are you a mastermind and do not know that man knows not by being told? Man don't know by being told as much as people want to say, because they told me. Remember I told you your children do that. Because my teacher said. It can't be about what you said or you the parent. They gonna hold that teacher's word before yours. Because my teacher said. But we don't know by being told. Man may believe what others say. You might believe what somebody says. But thus, he never knows. If man would know, he must himself be what he knows. So if we know this, we got to be what we know, right? Islam, brother. We got to be what we know. Thought the whole world, Islam. We must be what we know. Do you remember, Arebo, when you were an ape or a bird or a worm? Now, if you have no other better proving of your plea than that the priests have told you so, you do not know. You just simply guess. You don't know, you just guess it. Regard not then what any man has said. Let us forget the flesh and go with mind into the land of fleshless things. Mind never does forget. And backward through the ages, masterminds trace themselves. and thus they know. Time never was when man was not. That which begins will end. If man was not, the time will come when he will not exist. From Allah's own record book, we read, the triune Allah breathed forth and stood 7 spirits his face. The Hebrews call these 7 spirits Elohim. And these are they who, in their boundless power, created everything that is or was. These spirits of the true Allah move on the face of boundless space, and 7 ethers were, and every other had its form of life. These forms of life were but the thought of Allah, clothed in the substance of their ether planes. Men call these ether planes the planes of protoplast, of earth, of plant, of beast, of man, of angel, and cherubim. These planes with all their teeming thoughts, Allah, are never seen by eyes of man in the flesh. They are composed of a substance far too fine for fleshly eyes to see, and still they constitute the soul of things. And with the eyes of the soul, all creatures see these ether planes and all forms of life. Because all forms of life on every plane are thoughts of Allah. All creatures think, and every creature is possessed of will, and in its measure has the power to choose. I tell my children to know is to do. Islam. I like that, sis. She says she tells her babies to know is to do. Islam. More teachers, more parents need to take heed to that. It's a good one, sis. Islam. Mine are grown now. Maybe I can go tell them that. What y'all think? Y'all think I can go tell them that? Yes, because it's never too late, right? It's never too late. So, and in their native planes, all creatures are supplied with nourishment from the ethers of their planes. And so it was with every living thing until the will became a sluggish will. And then the ethers of the protoplast, the earth, the plant, the beast, the man begin to vibrate slow, very slow. The ethers became more dense, and all the creatures of these planes were clothed with coarser garbs of flesh, which man can see. And thus the coarser manifest, which man called physical, appeared. And this is what is called the fall of man. But man fell not alone. Man ain't fall alone. The protoplast and earth and plant and beast were all included in the fall. We were given lordship over everything. So when we fell, everything fell with us. Everything fell with us when we fell. That's why I say the creation and fall of Latai. You should say the creation and fall of you. Because when we fell out of our higher essence and we fell into this low vibration with the lower self, what does your lower self breed? Hatred, slander, greed, unaliving, and everything that harms. The higher self is the mother of the virtues and the harmonies of life that breeds justice, mercy, love, and right. The higher self can't communicate with that lower energy when it's a whole bunch of chaos going on. It just cannot. The angels and cherubim fell not. 2 held their station. That's why we hold up 5 on the left, 2 on the right. 2 held their station. Their will were ever strong. Their will was ever strong. And so they held the ethers of their planes in harmony with the law. They held it there. Now, when the ethers reached the rate of atmosphere and all the creatures of these planes must get their food from atmosphere, the conflict came. And then that which the finite man calls survival of the best became law. The stronger ate the bodies of the weaker manifest. And here is where the carnal of evolution had its rise. Islam. Indeed, Islam. And now man in his utter shamelessness strikes down and eats the beast. The beast consumes the plant. The plant thrives on the earth absorbs the protoplasm. Cycle of life all day long. Go watch Lion King. In yonder kingdom of the soul, this carnal evolution is not known. And great work of masterminds is to restore the heritage of man, to bring him back to his estate that he had lost. You lost your estate because you decided you wanted to fall into the body of desires. And everything you desired was more important than your everything, it was more important than really what your true purpose was. You got caught up in everything else. So now you got to be brought back to your estate that you lost, when he again will live upon the ethers of his native plane. These are the things that's happening for us now, and this is why it's important that you proclaim your nationality and your divine creed. So you can take yourself and your nervous system can be all right, because it's out of whack, because your nervous system even knows this ain't right. It's an attack on your nervous system. The thoughts of Allah change not. The manifest of life on every plane unfolds into perfection of their kind. And as the thought of Allah can never unalive, there is no unaliving to any being of the seven ethers of the seven spirits of the triune Allah. And so, an earth is never plant. A beast or bird or creeping thing is never man. And man is not and cannot be a beast or bird or creeping thing. The time will come where all these manifests will be absorbed, and man and beast and plant and earth and protoplasm will be redeemed. But Arata was amazed. The wisdom of the Jewish sage was revelation unto him. Now, Vidapati, wisest of the Indian sages, and I always tell people to pay attention to this chapter. You heard the Hebrews, you heard the Jews, you heard the Indian sages. You're hearing about the Indian sages. Chief of the temple of Captivistu heard Bharata speak to Jesus of the origin of man, and heard the answer of the Hebrew prophet. And he said, you priest of Captivistu, hear me speak. We stand today upon a crest of time. That star and crescent, that crest of time. 6 time ago, a master soul was born, who gave a glorious light to man. And now a master sage stands in the temple of Captivistu. The Hebrew prophet is the rising star of wisdom, deified. He brings to us a knowledge of the secret things of Allah, and all the world will hear his words and glorify his name. You priest of temple Captivistu, stay, be still and listen when he speaks. He is the living oracle of Allah. And all the priests gave thanks and praised the Buddha of enlightenment. They even mentioned Buddha. That's why I say Prophet Noble Drew Ali was on his stuff. Because you can see where he's taking you. He says, my footprints have been clearly cut, so you know I went that way. So why would he mention these things if it's not meant for you to go see what that's about? That's why we honor all prophets. We give honors to all the divine prophets for all the wonderful works they brought unto us. Because they all brought wonderful works. But we must go study to see what these wonderful works are about. Islam. So, I just gave you something out of both books. Chapter 1 out of the Circle 7, Quran, chapter I, and chapter 11. And chapter 11 is just the 2 ones reflecting each other. I'm coming out of chapter 4 of Outwitting the Devil. 4 always has to do with foundation. Your foundation. That's why it says 5 on the left, 2 on the right, with your heels touching one another. Because it's standing in a square to hold your foundation. Now, when you decide to go these other degrees, that's something else. But you got to learn your foundation first. You got to stop telling people they can't stand on that because that's the wrong thing to stand. That's not. You got to learn your foundation, or you're going to fall off your square and you're not going to be able to get back up there. It's not easy to climb that 12-step ladder once you've come down that 12-step ladder. It's not the easiest to climb back up. Islam? Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Islam. So the temperature of the world, the chaos we are seeing is simply this devil or negative collective ego trying to tighten its grip because a mass awakening has happened. So I got a call to action. That spiritual alignment isn't just a feel-good phrase. It is biological survival. On page 82 of Hill's work, we see that the devil admits he wins when we lose control of our thoughts. And then when we look at chapter in the Circle 7, chapter 1, it tells us that man was given dominion over all things. If we have dominion, why are we afraid of the news if we got dominion? Why is our nervous system on fire? It is because we have forgotten our source alignment. We have traded our holy birthright for the hypnotic rhythm of a world in fear. See, we give up our own birthrights. Don't nobody give them up but us. And that's a birthright. You've given it up for the hypnotic rhythm of a world in fear. In the Moorish tradition, the breath, because we always talk about the holy breath, right? The breath is the silver cord that connects the spirit man to the flesh man. When the devil, Hill's hypnotic rhythm, tries to seize the nervous system, it always starts by shallowing the breath to trigger the sympathetic nervous system, which is fear. The holy breath, there's a demonstration for this holy breath, which is the bridge, to settle the nerves and reclaim the unused portion of the brain. Because in this book, the devil says, oh yeah, I just take up space in that part of the brain they told you didn't use when you was in school. They said you only use this portion of your brain. So in this book, he speaks on that. He said, I just take up the space in your brain that they told you weren't using. So it's an easy win for me. So there's a holy breath demonstration to settle these nerves and reclaim unused portion of your brain that Hill mentions on page 85. So I'm going to give you a breathing exercise that you should do. Okay? And I want you to just do it now. Nobody has to see you, but do this. This is how you can activate that holy breath. The posture of dominion. So I want you to sit upright. As in the Circle 7, man is the Lord of the earth. So sit up straight. A Lord does not slouch. Lords don't slouch. That's why your posture is important. Lords don't slouch. This aligns the spine, which is the staff of the nervous system, the spine. And you have 33 vertebrae. That's your Jacob's ladder. Them 33 vertebrae going up and down constantly. Okay? So the connection, Hill notes that the devil enters through a lack of discipline. Standing or sitting tall is the first act of definiteness of purpose. Because you look confident. When you sitting up straight, walking straight up, you look confident, right? It's the confidence. Here we go. 2. The 4 to 7 breath. So that's what we're going to do. The master key. I want you to inhale for 4 counts. And when you're inhaling for these 4 counts, visualize drawing in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. This is the higher self expanding. So we're going to do it together. We're going to inhale for 4 counts, and we're going to visualize this drawing in. We're going to hold it for just a moment. This is the still point, the state of source where the devil has no influence. Then when we exhale out, we're going to exhale for 7 counts. And that releases the lower self. Exhale the hypnotic rhythm of the world. Okay? So sit up straight. And we're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. So take in. Do it 2 more times. You should feel your belly button push back into that area because you're sitting up. So you should feel it collapse in and feel a tightness. When you're releasing, tell me that don't feel good. So you should at least do that throughout the day. I had a massage therapist tell me we don't breathe right. We think we breathing because we doing this. But that's not truly breathing. You got to bring in the breath and exhale. So bringing that in, you're bringing in that holy breath. You're expelling out that lower self. So it's when you bring in oxygen and you breathe out the carbon monoxide. The carbon monoxide helps the trees, but the trees give you the oxygen to breathe in. So we're expanding into the higher self. And when we hold for that moment, that's a still point for you. That's a still point where that still small voice that they say comes to you. That's a point where you could be definitely tapped into that. Because the more you practice, the more you'll be willing to let me see, I can hold my breath more. Because if you notice when you do these breathing exercises, you can feel it. Like it feels like a raising of something. Because even when you push out, it's like, ooh, what was that? And sometimes even when they're telling you breathe in and then just push it out, because they know you pushing out negativity. So you're releasing that lower self, which exhales the hypnotic rhythm of the world. Why the 7? Why is this 7 so important? The number 7 resonates with the circle 7 and the 7 Elohims. Psychologically, a long exhale signals the vagus nerve to shut off the fight or flight response. That's what I'm saying. Even when they say, breathe in, and they say, then just go, it's a signal. And you do. It feels like you're out of fight or flight. So on page 90, Hill talks about the law of habit. The world has programmed our nervous system into a habit of reaction. We hear a siren, we check a notification, we feel a surge of cortisol. That is the devil's rhythm. But the prophet taught us that we are the masters of our own mansion. By using the holy breath, we break the habit of the world and return to the rhythm of Allah, which is source. This is a visual for you to look at the nervous system as an instrument. The devil drifting is like static on a radio. It makes the music of your life sound like noise. The circle 7, the source, is the tuner. Alignment isn't about fighting the static. It's about tuning to a frequency so high that the static can no longer be heard. There's spiritual significance with the circle 7 and psychological significance with Hill. 1, the straightened spine, man as the temple, ending the drift. 2, The deep inhale, taking in the breath of life, definiteness of thought. 3, the long exhale, casting out the lower self, breaking hypnotic rhythm. And 4, stillness, the holy unity with source, accessing the other self. Islam. So I'm going to give you something out of the literature before I go. And we're going to read chapter 25 because that should be read in every meeting. And there's other things that we're supposed to read in every meeting. Yes, it is. Some of my stuff is not with me in Colorado. It's just not with me in Colorado. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to come out of the circle 7 in chapter 25, which is important. That's my favorite. The divine warning for the nations is always. So prophet makes a plea to the nation. Our divine and national movement stands for specific grand principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And I, the prophet, am applying to all loyal, faithful Moors, he makes a distinction, members, and American citizens to help me in my great uplifting acts of uplifting fallen humanity among the Asiatic race and nation. For I have suffered much and severely in the past through misunderstanding of what the movement was dedicated to. It is the great God Allah alone that guides the destiny of this divine and national movement. I know all true American citizens are identified by national descent names to answer and apply to the free national constitution of this free national republic of the United States of America. That's why I am calling on all true national citizens to help me morally and financially in my great work I am doing to help this national government. For without a free national name with the descent flag of your forefathers, there is not a national divine title of the government in which we live. This is from your true and divine prophet unto all American and foreign sympathizers. Islam. The prophet was so intentional about everything he left for us. It's just that we must study. Teach, elder. Islam, you guys. I really appreciate your love. I appreciate it a lot. Islam. So to end this out, the divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, chapter 25, a holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. Yes, we have a covenant amongst one another. This is why it's important that we really read this every day. When we get up, before we even swing our feet, we should be reciting this. So it can tell us when our feet touch the ground, how we should show up. No matter what nobody feeling. Islam, thank you. I love how you're able to receive it, my brother. Islam. So this covenant we must hold with each other. Ye are the children of one Father. That's the Father of the universe, Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you suck. Mother Earth, Mother Nature. She gives you suck every day. Like they said, if they taught the children to eat better, to feed their bodies better, I probably wouldn't have no control over them. But because you give them all this junk that it clouds their thoughts, it clouds their minds. So Mother Nature gives us suck every day. We can eat from Mother Nature daily. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you, that binds us to love and unity. And prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam? Oh, somebody was putting something in the chat. Islam, Macadacious Divine Trust. Islam, I didn't even see your comment. Sometimes I don't see comments till after I done came off and I see all these comments. But we got to know that when we do these things, when we're assisting our brothers, when our sisters are in trouble and we don't forsake, the fortunes of our Father contribute to the support of his whole race. And his care be continued to us all in our love to each other. We got to stand on that. We got to be what we say we claim we are. And that is love made manifest, if nothing else. You are love made manifest. So we should walk in that manifestation. We definitely have the power to outwit the devil. You got to let go of that lower energy. You got to let go of this lower vibration, because not only the news and what's going on in the news and with the celebrities and everything else has you so your nervous system is attacked right now. The anatomy of the attack on your nervous system is real. So we got to take time. So do these breathing exercises as much as you can. Islam. Do them breathing exercises as much as you can. Remember, 4 breaths in, hold it for at least 4 seconds. 4 is a builder number. That's a foundation. It's building. 7, completion. That's why you breathing out for 7. The completion. I'm letting it go, and I'm not holding on to it no more. Bad relationships, bad energy. I don't care, family, friends. You can't operate in this new energy with that chaos. The higher self don't know how to communicate. So remember that. Remember that alignment that's what religion is all about. It's just realignment. It's realigning you back to source. And just by being able to sit up straight, not slouch, because lords don't slouch. Gods don't slouch. Don't slouch. Be. Teach your children. Help your children with these breathing exercises. So even when they go into school or wherever you may be sending them, you're sending them with the energy to outwit the devil. That they're able to think on their own. Then we wonder why children be like acting the way they do. Because we got free thinkers in the world. It's not that they're being disrespectful. They're being misunderstood. So taking the time to hear it, because they're ancient. They're more ancient than we are. So I'll leave you with this. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Can we all stand as we recite our Moorish American prayer? We turn to the east as going within. We put up 5 fingers on the left, 2 on the right, with our heels touching one another. Standing on a foundation, making sure we're sturdy. Because if we try to stand on any other part of 90, you might not be ready for it and you'll fall over your feet. So stand strong. Islam, repeat after me. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Islam, I love you guys. And I thank you so much for taking the time to be on these lives with me, to even give me the opportunity to demonstrate the prophet's lessons in the best way that I have not only been taught, but also studied to unfold them. So I hope I was able to help you unfold some of these lessons in a more easier way, something that you can gravitate to. because I'm telling you, Prophet Noble Drew Ali has the remedy. We got the remedy for the nations. For the nations, because this is a divine and national movement. It don't stop here. So giving honors to all the divine prophets for all the wonderful works that they have brought unto us. Giving honors to each and every one of you that have sat here tonight with me on this demonstration. I look forward to seeing some of your demonstrations. Thank you. Islam, I'm glad you appreciate the breathing exercise. So we'll get into it, and I'll see y'all Sunday for Sunday school. Peace and love. If you got any questions for Sunday school, bring them. I would love for you to come on and demonstrate what you know about this Circle 7, what you know about these 101s, what you know about this literature, because each one teach one. I want to learn from you guys too, because y'all been amazing in these chats. Thank you so much. I appreciate love y'all for that. Peace and love. Peace and love, sis. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you, guys. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Giving all the honors to you, Islam. All right now. Peace and love to my Facebook and YouTube family. Peace and love.